Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Facade Focus podcast, where I aim to connect the global facade industry by sharing knowledge and experience for others to learn from. Over the coming weeks, I'll be interviewing leaders and industry experts across the globe to discuss common problems people are facing and explore the innovative solutions helping to move the industry forward. This week, I'm joined by Andrew Haring, VP of Business Development at FHC, Frameless hardware company. Andrew's story is a fascinating one. He didn't come from a family legacy in glazing. He fell into the industry almost by accident, from studying design and marketing to swinging a hammer on construction sites. His early years gave him a unique blend of creative but also practical experience that would shape his entire career. He went on to spend a decade at C.R. Lawrence, where he helped launch their architectural business development program, and rose to become VP of marketing. After that, he spent 6 years at the National Glass Association, helping to strengthen industry collaboration and elevate technical standards. Today, he's back in the private sector with FHC, a fast-growing manufacturing supplier that's bringing a customer-first mindset back to the glass and glazing market. In this conversation, we discuss everything from the skilled labor shortage and the need for better training, to the balance between technology and craftsmanship, and how FHC is helping rebuild the culture of service that's been missing in the industry. Andrew brings honesty, humor, and decades of perspective, and whether you're a fabricator, glazer, or supplier, there's tons to take away from this one. Now, a quick shout out to our sponsors of the podcast, Architectural Glass and Aluminum, otherwise known as AGA. They're a leader in custom curtain wall systems and have been providing tailored glazing solutions for over 55 years. More impressively, they're one of the largest employee-owned businesses in the glazing industry across the US and have a phenomenal team that buys into their ethos of collaboration and craftsmanship. I'm delighted to have them as a partner of the pod, so a big shout out to the team over there. In the meantime, let's get into this week's episode of the Facade Focus podcast with Andrew Haring. Andrew Haring, welcome to the Facade Focus podcast. Good to have you.
Thank you for having me. Been looking forward to this.
Yeah, me too. I've given you a bit of an introduction already before we started here, but I will open up the floor to you to give us a bit of a flavor as to where you've come from and what you're doing now, Andrew.
Sure. You just want a brief blow by blow of how I got here today?
Yeah. Take us on the journey. Make it as dramatic as you can.
All right. Cue the music. There I was. The year was. No, I have a general theory that I've really yet to be challenged on for the glass industry specifically, and so I mean that dovetails an intrinsic with fenestration and facades as a whole. But either your daddy's daddy did it or it was a total accident, and I probably fallen into the latter camp.
Yeah.
I went to school for design, marketing and graphic design, but I swung a hammer all through school. I worked construction, various trades, mostly general, not specialized in one specific trade, but
Sure.
Mostly a lot of grunt work, ditch digging. And I mean, I did work with glass and I could install certain things, but I'd never fancy myself a glazer.
Sure.
And just from there, just the path led me to working for an architectural firm, where I was technically a designer and I learned how to do proposals, city submittals, things of that nature. And then, market vulnerability led to some streamlining within the firm itself. And so I went from having to wear a few different hats. I learned how to write specifications there.
Yeah.
And at the time, we worked with a lot of different building products. And so I had some loose familiarity, whether it was hands-on or just specifications from paint to hardware to full systems. That led me to bouncing to a design build firm, where it was a lot of environmental graphics and wayfinding, essentially a very fancy sign company that would do corporate branding, and they'd plan a whole shopping center. And so I was a designer, but I also had to learn how to actually make the stuff, and so I learned how to do shop drawings there. And
Right.
yeah, and I would say the one constant, contiguous thread there is we always had a catalog from C.R. Lawrence, in both the architectural firm and the design build fab shop. And the time came where I had a colleague and a friend that I had known for many years who encouraged me to come check out CR Lawrence, CRL. Most folks should know that name,
Yeah.
both nationally and internationally. And so I went there with loose familiarity, but without any specific intention. It was more just, hey, come check it out. And I was told Don Freeze wants to meet you. And at the time, I said, well, who the heck is Don Freeze? And lo and behold, I would go down there just, I don't want to say it was a courtesy, but I didn't have any specific intentions or plans of jumping ship and doubling down and working there. But
Yeah.
it was there that uh, Don Freeze or Mr. Freeze, if you know what's good for you. He sat me down. He just really made an impression on me there. I immediately got the quick read. He's someone of substance, someone important, and I was very not taken aback. I was very appreciative of the fact that I figured out quickly his role in the industry and the fact that he took the better part of a whole day with me, and he walked me uh, the whole building, multiple buildings, just from manufacturing to will call. And I was just impressed by him and the fact that he knew everyone's name and was approachable. And he spent the time with me, and that kind of wrapped with. He said, "Well, here it's still America. You work hard, you can go places. Now, what are you going to do for me?" And I said, I don't know, but I'm in. Like so.
Yeah, count me in. Just tell me where.
Yeah, so I got started there, just working. They had in-house advertising department, and I would go there, and I would end up spending about a decade there, 10 years, and go on to different roles. I helped launch the architectural business development program there, and then I would go on to be vice president of marketing for CR Lawrence for quite a few years.
Right.
Fast forward there, with acquisitions, I just realized the path wasn't necessarily for me. I didn't explicitly want to do harm. There's still a lot of good people there that I liked and cared about, and
Yeah.
I could have easily jumped ship to somewhere that was, direct competition, and that wasn't really my headspace at the time. And so I
Sure.
had familiarity with the National Glass Association as both a long-standing member, an exhibitor in their events, an advertiser in their publications, a volunteer on their technical committees,
Yeah.
and so I had a working knowledge of them and their role, but I didn't know a whole lot about nonprofit trade associations.
Sure.
And it was Nicole Harris who kind of caught wind that I had left CRL, and she reached out and she gave me a shot, and I told her exactly as much. I said, I don't know much about trade associations
Yeah. Yeah.
other than what I pay to participate in. And the consensus was that's a good thing. They wanted an industry person, not an association person.
Great.
So I jumped in with them I was there 6 years, just up until last year, as vice president of business development. And so that was a really great experience for me, just personally and professionally. I got a chance to really engage with the entirety of the industry at a scale and depth that I hadn't really had access to. It had always been for profit, focused on a deliverable product or project, and highly competitive and
Yeah.
tunnel
Yeah.
vision, just knocking people down that got in the way. And this was more of the kumbaya, we're all friends and this industry needs to grow together, and here's
Yeah.
how we get through all this. And so
Interesting.
I spent probably half of my time there in an airplane, just going all over, visiting companies all across the globe. I mean, predominantly North America, but I spent time in Germany, the UK, and just really got it was both a high level, but also just a granular view of all the people and companies that the industry comprises. And,
Yeah.
I learned a lot, just everything from pain points to processes and business models. And so that was really, those were some good years in terms of just, broadening my horizons within the industry.
Yeah.
And
Can
lo and
imagine
behold,
that. I can imagine that
I,
was really
sorry, go ahead.
useful. I imagine that was really useful for you as well, to seeing that side of the industry to
I
take
just,
you
just
to whatever you're doing now.
Yeah, I think it's really easy to just get consumed with, your output and things that are impacting you, your family, and your business, whoever's signing your checks. And this was an opportunity to really understand the industry in a much broader way. I had been focused predominantly heavy-handed with architectural glazing hardware, and if it wasn't in that wheelhouse, it wasn't my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And I got to open my eyes to a whole different avenues, whether it's from the big players to the little guys to residential fenestration to commercial envelopes, everything in between, whether they were melting sand, fabricating glass, making the hardware, or installing it. I got a really solid view of a lot of different angles and aspects of the industry that I don't think you could replace. I don't think you could teach in a book, and I think that was a differentiator for me, just professionally and in my, I guess, I don't know, my journey, as you said, in the industry. So that gets us to up until last year, and I got a similar call to that first one, 16 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was FHC, and it was the team I had known that I worked with for many years, and they said it's time to come home, and we need you right now. And it's a team I know and I trust, and a model I know, and I know the playbook. And so this was an opportunity to spend less time in an airplane
Yeah.
and get back into the for-profit side. I'm a bit more of an indoor cat, I guess. I don't know, but it was exciting to be a part. They had been around. I think they just cleared 5 years last year, and just the trajectory that they're already on. It was exciting to jump back in and try to be a part of something kind of special and part of a growth moment, and really put my name on something and be a part of something instead of inheriting something. I guess that was appealing to me, and it
Right.
was that wasn't a big leap of faith, because again, there's an immense amount of trust that I have in the people that are running it here, and it made a lot of sense and all kinds of sense. And my wife was a fan of me being home more, and I
There
like
you
seeing my
go.
kids more. So
There you go. Check, 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 check. Yeah, a lot of boxes checked there, and that sounds, yeah, as you said, not the biggest leap of faith. Bearing in mind that you knew the team,
calculated leap.
yeah, good, yeah, great, great save. I love that. So
Sorry, I
just,
tried to blow through that as concisely as possible, but I also realized that I have been talking way too much and much more than you have. So
hey,
I'm gonna,
I'm here for
I'm
it.
gonna dial back. Maybe I'll take a sip and let you breathe.
Hey, look, if I could do this on my own, I would, but I can't because people don't want to listen to me. I've not got many interesting things to say, which is why I'm talking to you. So, no, for people that don't know, because we're going to get into the problems that you see in the industry and how we can go about solving one or two of them. For people that don't know, FHC, tell us high level, very high level overview, what you guys are doing.
Yep. FHC, frameless hardware company. I would say a a culture of entrepreneurship. I think it's a bit of a return to form that the industry has been lacking for a while, just between buyouts, acquisitions. I think a lot of suppliers have kind of lost the touch and the read of the industry, and really listening to their customers and what they need. And
Yep.
that's not faulting anyone specifically. I think that's just the nature of the beast when you have, when there's shareholders involved that are looking at the profit margins more so than the quality of the product or the quality of the service. It's really easy to shave out and carve out either personnel or inventory when there's a lot of eyeballs looking at that. And I just think there's been a gap there. I think FHC is working hard to fill and already being effective, just really focusing on the customer, whether again, like it's the little guy or the big boys or women. Just guaranteeing a level of customer service, answer the phone. I mean, the playbook isn't hard. Have
Yep.
product on the shelf and have knowledgeable people that actually answer the phone,
Yep.
and be there, be a project partner and be a resource. Don't just focus on that transaction, the profit margins, how much you're making on each doodad or widget, but really be a full service and be there. But a lot of these customers, I mean, they're looking for a phone a friend half the time, And if you're not answering the phone, you're missing the point and losing the game.
Yeah.
So I think that the goal with FHC, which is attractive and which I've already seen just in the year that I've been here, 11 months, whatever it's been,
Yeah.
is really bringing that back, that focus back. Focus on innovative products, absolutely, but really differentiate yourselves in the level of service that you're willing to provide, and the level you're willing to go to. Go to the mat for your customers, and they're going to remember that, and they're going to come back. So
100%.
that's yeah. But so then, I mean, just high level, what we're a manufacturer supplier, architectural railings, glass entrances, door hardware, frameless shower doors, glazing tools and supplies, transaction windows. That's light equipment and machinery, but we are a manufacturer supplier to the glass and glazing industry.
Yeah.
But we're just built a little different in terms of mindset and mission on what value means to glazers.
Yeah. I think it came up with John Wheaton. There was a phrase that we mentioned, which was, focus on building operational excellence instead of just always being focused on growth and numbers and all of these margins. But if you're building that internal operational excellence and you focused on the customer first, the rest will take care of itself as long as you're doing the right things, day in,
Oh,
day
yeah,
out.
John's a brilliant man, very humble, but he's brilliant. And that's yeah, I touched on that. The playbook isn't hard. If you focus on the fundamentals, the rest will happen organically. There will be the growth as long as you deliver the product the high quality product and the high quality service. The rest solves itself.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Now, let's segue into the problem. I mean, we spoke a little bit off camera, super short, just highlighted a couple of areas which obviously timing wise, they're, top of mind for a lot of people. But tell us about the problems that you're seeing in the industry. One or two key ones that you think need solving or you're going about solving over there.
Southern California traffic, number one.
Perfect. There we go. Right. Talk to me.
Spoiler alert, in case anyone was wondering.
Yeah.
No, yeah, and I don't have any keen insights that's gonna just drop jaws or open eyes. I mean, I think there are universal pain points that everyone can see, witness, and also has experienced themselves. And it's from the glazer, the people on the job site, to the people in the plant, to just anywhere all around it. Is just there's a skilled labor shortage, and that's not anything new or immediate. I think that's as long as I've been in the game and before me and older than me, that's just a common problem that
Yeah.
is just constantly something to address and think about and try to resolve. And I don't know that we're ever going to cross that finish line. I think there's generational gaps in the people that are willing to learn a trade or an industry, and there's a generation of folks that are retiring a lot faster than we can backfill them. And there's ways to offset that with automation technology, sure, but there's also just a mentality gap there too, and a willingness to learn and a curiosity to really embrace an industry and a trade that I think we're all trying to crack that code on.
Yeah. That piece of not being able to backfill enough of the people that are retiring as well is one thing. So that's obviously a numbers thing. There's just more people retiring, not enough people coming back into the industry. But there's also, like you said there, like that knowledge piece. How much knowledge, wisdom that these guys and gals have that are leaving the industry, and that knowledge transfer down into, passing it on down into the next
Yeah,
generation.
100%. There's a lot of tribal knowledge that is banked by folks that are just going to be gone. I mean, they've worked hard and they're going to retire. And I mean, there are some forward thinking folks that have committed portions of their lives and careers to transferring that knowledge base. But no matter what, there's just going to be a population of folks that are going to leave faster than the next one signs up. There's just so much that is really difficult to learn in a book, and a willingness for people to seek out education and training,
Yeah.
and the ability for other folks to actually deliver on said education and training. It's clunky.
Yeah, it's a problem that needs solving. I know the amount of people I talk to that they have the same issue. No one really seems to have an answer. And there's automation. Sure, there's automation. There's technology. There's robots now, but those robots and these tools and whatever you come up with, they still need operating. Still going to need humans on site, and the wisdom of being able to connect everything from the plant through everything to bringing it on site to getting everything up on the building. There's always going to be that there. And,
Oh, absolutely. And so, I mean, there are tools that can be leveraged and can certainly help, but I'm sure you've seen it. It was floating around for a while on the interwebs. Just someone put up a billboard in front of a construction site, some skyscraper going up, and it just says, hey, Chat GPT, build this, and it's just there.
Yeah.
Whether the solutions are going to be real enough for you or I to witness in our lifetime is negligible. I don't know if that's going to happen at a rate that's fast enough, but
No, and
certain processes can certainly be helped by it, but and augmented by it, but it's not going to replace that human component.
no, and it never will. I mean, look, I see these stats flying around. I'd have to verify them, but I'll float one out there as a clickbait one. Something like the productivity of us as humans today, after all these tools and these productivity tools, we're less productive today than we were 15, 20 years ago.
Oh, I agree. I don't need to see the stats. I don't need the hardcore reporting. I think that's a very fair statement, an accurate one.
So when you look at all the tools that are coming down the pipeline to try and help automate, and help with productivity, the human side of it's never going to go away, because we've got so many tools available to us even now, but we're either not using them correctly, or you need to have 8 tools that talk to each other perfectly in order to make the whatever piece of software, whether it's a CRM, whether it's I deal with it with my business today.
Oh, yeah, and I mean, to your point, I think it's not helping capitalize on potential and an increasing output. It's really, in the areas I see, much of it is damage control, triage, and offsetting the lack of people and knowledge.
Yeah.
I hope that changes. And I know certain avenues, I want to get fact check on this, and people call BS. I do know the value, and I know the direction things need to head. But I just know that, like, to your point, I think we're doing less with more.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I feel that. And I sometimes, I don't know about you, but I'm one of these people that there's a new tool. I'll be skeptical but excited to explore it. Like, I'm a, try and keep it PG, but mess around and find out kind of guy. Like, go and try and figure it out. Like,
watch your language, jeez, yeah. Tom.
Gotta keep it PG for everyone.
You picked the wrong test, my friend.
It's all right. I've already bleeped out all the other curse words. It's fine.
Oh, okay.
I'm a mess around and find out kind of guy, and I think there's so many ways that these tools can help us, but sometimes I'll have just gone down a rabbit hole and I'm lost. Like, I've gone down to, and it's come into a position where this was supposed to buy me time, give me time back, make this whole process easier and shorter. And now I'm so far down the rabbit hole that, I don't even know where I am anymore. So it's just trying to, not still have the human element, call your clients, call your customers, get on the phone, don't, again, it might have been John that said this again, but, just because you sent an email doesn't mean you've communicated. Like, pick up the phone, talk to someone, pass on the information. So yeah, I think, bringing it back to site, have you got any kind of putting you on the spot here, but have you got any solutions, any ideas on what could move the needle, even if it is just a little bit of attracting people
Yeah,
into
well, just
that
even,
side of
I mean,
the
just
site?
because the task is daunting doesn't mean we shouldn't try. Like that's where I'll go down kicking and screaming, trying to move a needle, even if I'm losing.
Yeah.
But I mean, so we develop our own in-house education and training. We partner with like-minded organizations that have the ability and the resources to provide training and education. To date, we've donated over $1 million to the NGA Foundation to help create and distribute training and education for glazers. Um, we've partnered with so they do that via their My Glass Class program, and they have a glazing curriculum. They have an apprenticeship program, and so they have the reach and they have the bullpen to call on, and so we'll do what we can to help that. We'll lend our experts to certain design manuals, certain courses where we have something to share, but then we'll also help make these things accessible to the masses, people that can't necessarily afford to build an in-house training program or put X amount of glazers into it. And they'll also focus on, recruitment programs, how to attract the next generation. We're also doing things, other organizations, learnglazing.com. They provide free glazing courses to the industry. You sign up, you can take all the courses you want. And so we'll donate and we'll partner with them, whether it's building content or just, again, giving them the ability with our investment to help build this content out and get it out to the masses as well. We've also I mean, we know where we're effective, but I think half of it is also the ability to identify key partners that can help us all get there together. And I don't think there's not one silver bullet that's going to solve everyone's problem. And so putting these resources in different areas to where they can be stumbled upon by everyone across the globe is key. And from beginning to finish, I mean, you can get into some of the more rudimentary beginner level courses on a frameless shower door, or we're also supporting AGMT glazer certification, the architectural glass and metal technicians. And that's raising the bar even further. So someone that's been in the trade for X amount, they're going to make sure that their chops and skill sets are best practice, and to become certified really levels that playing field. Glazers are one of the few trades where there isn't a certificate required. If you want to be a plumber, an electrician, you have to have credentials saying that you belong on this project and are
Yeah.
qualified to execute this process, this scope. And so we've made our just next week we're doing another round. We've made our facilities available to them. They have moving rigs that go around the country, and they'll set up certification training, hands-on testing. And so we have space and we have all the supplies they need. Here's a pallet of silicone. Here's the tools you need. Teach the stuff, you certify it, but we're going to just make it available. Free of charge. We'll also donate. Just come in here. You have the ability to perform these tests and this certification, and you're going to be the ones backing it. And we're going to do whatever we can on our end to help you do more of these courses at a bigger scale. So I mean, those are a few areas where we're really trying to help. And again, that goes to the comment I made earlier. Just going on beyond that transaction, those dollars don't help my business book. They don't help FHC, but we really just want to be seen as an ally and someone, a good corporate citizen that's really, if we want to keep doing what we do, we have to have an industry to do it in. And
Yeah.
some days we're in growth mode. Some days this industry is just in survival mode. If we want to keep glass in buildings, we need people that can do it. And we're going to put our money where our mouth is and put those resources to work with people that know how to use them.
So first and foremost, that's obviously a great initiative that you're doing. Because as you said, that is not, an FHC pursuit that you're going to get business back from. That's a, rising tides theory. We need, the whole of this industry to come up. And one question I did have off the back of that is, it's a free resource. You guys invest into it so that people have access to this stuff. What's the uptake on it?
For us,
No, for the so you give it out for free essentially. People have access to this stuff. What's the sign up rate for people doing this? Do you see a lot of people going out there and even though it's free, saying yeah, okay, we'll do that, or is it they're still even though it is a
it's
free thing, you've still got to drum up and encourage people to come to
Oh,
come.
I mean, it's not just a you build it, they will come mentality. It
Mm,
takes that constant noise machine to remind people of the resources they have access to. I mean, we're all guilty of it. We get so busy and consumed by just the day to day. What does Tom need to do today to put food on the table for his daughter? And we get tunnel vision. Like I'm not even looking back to the last project. What's next? What's the next check that's going to show up?
yeah,
And I'm going to do the best I can with the crew I have. For me to stop and have half of my guys and gals in a classroom learning as opposed to moving stuff on a job site, one of those things is going to make me more money today than the next one. And so it is a constant communication piece that needs to take place. And so these companies, by giving them resources, they'll have educational designers, they'll have coders, they'll have technical consultants, and just distribution channels that those things help pay for. It's not just the course and it's free. It's given kind of the backbone and the ability to not only just produce it in a way that's understandable, but also give them some of the muscle to actually communicate the value and attract. They'll go to uh, colleges, high schools, trade schools, and starting from young ones. I've participated in NAWIC camps where I'm teaching a 6-year-old girl how to use a glass cutter. But that's
yeah,
just not me. I'm just saying it's a lot. It's a bigger mechanism and machine than just here's a check, here's some free courses. Let's cross our fingers and hope people take it. And so it does take some buy-in and investment from the companies themselves that are going to participate and leverage these opportunities. Uh, to be a glazer, you can't just read a book and then say okay, or take however
yeah,
many online courses. But so
yeah,
it's not, it can't replace the value of hands-on training. But
yeah,
what it can do is it can open eyes to the value, the opportunities of glazing as a trade, as a career path. And it can also really expedite the process of training. It Instead of just being a helper and just starting from day one out in the shop and just doing whatever you're told and moving a bucket
yeah,
of what have you to wherever, and then hopefully you absorb some of that along the way. It's okay, I'm going to start so and so here. Before you touch a single tool, you're going to complete all these courses so that there's a knowledge base. There's a general sense of what the trade is and what not to do, if anything, as much as what
yeah,
to
yeah,
do.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so it really shortens that overall process of getting people that are equipped to have that path, grow beyond the helper to the apprentice to a journeyman to beyond, anywhere in between. And so it's as much awareness as it is just expediting a process. To people need Companies need people now, and how can we
yeah.
close that gap?
This episode is brought to you by Architectural Glass and Aluminum, otherwise known as AGA. Looking for a trusted glazing partner? AGA has been working alongside industry leaders for over 55 years, providing reliable and high-quality glazing solutions. Specializing in Class A office buildings, hospitals, airports, and higher education, AGA creates custom curtain wall systems tailored to your project needs. With a focus on collaboration and craftsmanship, AGA is here to support your next project. So visit aga-ca.com to learn more about their services and capabilities. That's aga-ca.com. Now back to this week's episode. That's the problem, isn't it? The problem actually is now. People need people right now, and there is, yeah, as we've said, more people
Yeah.
leaving.
And so your options are either I'm going to poach or pluck someone that's a hired gun that's not going to be cheap, and they're probably willing to jump from me for $5 more an hour if the opportunity presents itself. or am I going to build the right people? It's an old adage that I certainly didn't create, and the person that told me it certainly didn't create. Hire for character, train for skill, find the people, and then grow your team that can understand your culture and your way of conducting business.
100%. Couldn't agree more. Yeah, hire for character all day long. The skill itself can be taught. Like learning a new language or learning a new, any sort of skill set. The character piece and culture nowadays is just so important. Team collaboration, people that want to work with their team members and help people, be there for people, and also be helped, be open-minded, be curious, want to learn, want to grow. Sure, you could find someone out there that's delivered the type of projects that you want them to deliver, and that's great. But a bad hire is far worse than no hire, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's a lot to unpack there, a lot of factors and considerations. Old dogs and new tricks, but also just willingness of an individual to invest in a company. If they're just gonna jump around, you look at their career history. It's okay. I'm looking at, okay, you spent 1 year here, you spent 6 months here. How long are you going to be here? Are you going to be here long enough for me to sell the value of this company to you, or
Yeah.
is it just that?
The,
And then there's people like me who drew the short stick who have neither character or skill that just trick people enough
just
to get
winging it.
along.
Just winging it.
Yeah.
I don't believe that for a second. No, I think the only bit, just making to your point, the whole 6 month year here, 6 month there, I totally agree with that. I think the only caveat I want to add to that is that, I've been in the recruitment industry, facades, US, close to a decade. The only thing that I've ever found that when people do bounce around is once you get to know this industry, so glass, metal, certain companies of certain sizes, sometimes people can be a product of their own environment. And what I mean by that is if you've got a toxic work culture that just was not apparent at all when you joined, and you go in there and now you're forced into a decision of, like, if I need to stick this out because this is going to look awful if I leave, but then every month, weekday, month that I'm here is an opportunity that I could be growing somewhere else. And so I think 100% people bouncing around, big red flag, like that needs to be questioned. But if you get to know which companies they've worked for, you can pretty quickly work out, like,
Yeah, and I think question for sure, but it's definitely not an absolute. And I don't like to speak in, broad generalisms either. I think there's always exceptions to the rule. I think I fall somewhere in between the spectrum of the old salty dogs and, I'm definitely not the young buck new hire, but I think just the mentality has changed a lot too, in ways that, since I've been in this industry and in construction as a whole. I think the mindset is there is a lot more bouncing around to learn more things. The experience I just told you about NGA, I think those things are fulfilling and have immense value. And I think that the days of the lifer from start to finish are fewer and further between than they were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, certainly 50 years ago.
Yeah.
But there's also nothing, you can't discount investment of yourself into an industry or a company. If you take the time and learn the trade, learn the company, and participate in that growth, there are opportunities by consistency and having that willpower, to that grit. Uh-oh, something just broke in the next room over.
And again, everything's okay in there then.
I think it was applause. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just a couple of quick claps.
Yeah, got the slow clap already from the team over here.
That's it. Yeah, they're building the suspense up to the quick fire questions. I think I agree as well, and I also think as well on the back of that is, yes, that the new generation bouncing around companies, maybe bouncing is the wrong word, experiencing new companies is something that they see as like a good thing. I get to experience this, and then I can come over here and I can get a flavor of this. And one thing I would say to people is when you join a company early on in the glass industry, like tell them that you're open to everything and anything, and come in as an intern, start out as I don't know, a project engineer in the project management department. Do that for a year, and then go and try estimating, takeoffs. Go and do that for a year, and sort of refine yourself, and go and be a coordinator between design and project management. Go and
Oh,
do
absolutely.
you know
The more arrows you can have in your quiver, and the more tools you have, you become dangerous, and the good kind.
yeah, exactly. I see. I had the conversation just last week with a client where um, young guy had come up through. He was a project manager now, but he'd done his master's degree, and then he'd started out on site. So like they would call it like a site manager essentially, rather than a superintendent for a slightly larger company. And he'd really sort of generated a lot of his knowledge from, okay, he was well educated, but he got out onto site and understood everything about buildability, constructability, and installation, logistics, everything to do with the site before then moving into the office. And when I
Yeah.
spoke to his reference said the reason he was such a good project manager is because he understands the site. He understands what happens when this stuff hits site. And that for him, because he was already, pretty well educated, so theory, engineering, all that sort of
Yeah,
stuff.
and I think you'll see a lot of success stories that have that path. Just the overall awareness. I mean, both the good and the bad. My grandpa told me a long time ago. He said, you know how you don't want to be a ditch digger? Dig ditches. So it's that mentality of don't be above anything, but really take the time to understand before you start dictating someone else how to do something.
Yeah, yeah, 100% agree. We're going to segue into one more thing that I want to touch on before we jump into these quick fire questions. We spoke about it very briefly off camera. We'll only touch on it very briefly, but tariffs, which are the talk of the town at the moment. And as we mentioned, here
It's
to
a big
stay.
town.
Yeah, big town. A few towns. Are they here to stay? Are they going to go? It's all theory. No one really knows. What's your take on it? How are you navigating these sort of choppy waters at the moment?
Yeah. I I used to be a little bit more anxious and hot headed in younger years, but I'm a constant student of the school of cooler heads prevailing. I think there's a lot too much over speculation just causes harm.
Yeah,
I mean, there are very real percentages and very real things with very well defined regions and countries that aren't open to interpretation. But if the sky is falling, I don't know yet. I think there's going to be business impacts that are widespread, both large and granular, whether it's completed products. I mean, I'm talking about the glass and facade industry specifically, areas
yeah,
I know from manufacturing and distribution and supply chain. I mean, there's a lot of angles to look at this broad spectrum on just international economics
yeah,
and trade. But the areas I just see it, I mean, I think there's going to be some folks that are hit hard, importers that have built, that can be technically, domestic companies that have made their mark by bringing in whether it's European or Chinese products that aren't inferior. That's just the model they've chosen. There's certain technologies and certain products where there's German engineers or different. It's not always a bad thing or a dirty word to import products. And so
yeah,
there's the complete systems, but then there's also just the on the smaller scale. I mean, there's domestic U.S. manufacturers, Canadian manufacturers that they are 90% manufacturers, wave the flag, but there's still some components or certain raw materials that are going to come from somewhere that isn't necessarily easier to track or easy enough to track, or might be coming from some of the no-no zones, and that it's going to hurt. But
Yeah.
there is comfort, I guess, in that it's a universal pain. And I know this industry to be resilient and resourceful. And I think the quick answer is, to anyone impacted at any capacity, is just communication.
Yeah.
We brought this up in our chat earlier off camera, but I think I can do a lot with bad news, much more than I can do with no news. And so the more that you're opening up your lines of communication, whether it's the people you buy from or the people you sell to, just managing expectations, not over promising. And no, it sounds trite, but we're all in this shit together. And I think the more willingness people are down to listen and volunteer information and help each other out and keep transparency a focus, I think things will be okay. I think there's a lot of egos and pissing matches taking place currently that have everyone spooked. But I also believe that while some of it is in fact happening, I also think that there's a lot of rhetoric and posturing that's happening. And I would think not all of these threats or suspicions are going to be long-term standing. But again, I'm not an economist. I read much more than I
Yeah.
should, to the point where it confuses me more than it emboldens me. But
Yeah.
maybe I'm an optimist. I don't know.
Yeah, you can get into a point where there's just paralysis by analysis as well, isn't there? And I think what I'm hearing is try not to speculate, but prepare. Just prepare, and we
Yeah,
mentioned
don't
diversification.
bury your head, but focus on the business areas that you can impact in a positive way. I can't control what a president of one country imposes on another country. I don't have a seat at the table. No one cares about my opinion. I
Not
can
yet.
control the product and service that I offer, and I can figure out ways to either increase value across those areas. But I can't control raw pricing on certain building materials.
Yeah.
And so focus on the things I can control, and that's going to help me sleep slightly more at night.
There you go. Good way to finish on that. Love that. Yeah, I think it's preparation and diversification of supply chain, and just having options, communicating with people. Again, like you said earlier, simple playbook, isn't it? Just do the things you can control every single day, and it's not like this problem is hitting one particular area of the market and they're all screwed, and the others aren't. We're all in this together, and we've got to be resourceful and figure a way, navigate the choppy waters, which may be
Yeah,
really
I
difficult.
don't want to. I am an optimist, but I mean, I don't want to discount or not acknowledge. I mean, some people will get hurt. Some companies will be devastated. Some might not be around a year from now, depending on how how big this iceberg is and how long it sticks around. And so I don't want to just say everything's fine and we're all okay. Let's hold hands and everything's going to be okay. But I think just those fundamentals you mentioned, I think supply chain diversification and communication are going to be what that's your life vest.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And as you said, there will be companies that fall by the wayside from it, but control what you can control, and try and be as prepared as you can be. You know, the more that I suppose I feel it, about my business as well. The more you're worried about the things that you can't control is taking your eye off the ball on the things that you can control, and you putting less energy into the day to day stuff that actually does move the needle. The more that you're worrying about stuff that you can do absolutely nothing about. Um,
Yeah,
but no, I think acknowledging that this is serious and it's happening, and there are going to be implications, but also, just put one foot in front of the other, look at what's happening, diversify it can be supply chain, even other ways that I've spoken about on other podcasts.
yeah,
Um,
I think you're nailing it. It's as you said. I agree. It's you're either going to miss opportunities if you're too consumed, or you're going to will something bad to happen. I think that
yeah,
could happen.
yeah. You're going to bring it into the universe. Yeah, cool. Well, let's get into these quick fire questions. Don't think about them too much. We're going to fly through them. If you say something really rogue, I am going to ask a follow-up question. I'm going to ask you a follow-up question. Cool. Let's start with favorite food.
Oh, geez. You said quick. I like to grill a lot, but I like a lot of different types of food. The best dish I ever recall having, well, one, my mom eats spaghetti. Is
Yeah.
about as that's the go-to for birthday dinners every year. But I think the best dish I've ever had that sticks out was a black curry, a Sri Lankan dish, and this was I have yet to find it at a place that's closer to me. And this was in California, but
Yeah.
it was up
Yeah.
north in like Santa Cruz. But I have yet to find something comparable closer to me. But that one stuck out.
Sri Lankan black curry. Yeah, curry is close to my heart. I would eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner if I could.
Oh yeah, any curry, Indian curry, Thai curry,
Yeah,
white boy curry, any.
I'm all over it with you there. I can agree with that. So next one, sports team you follow.
I'm a Dodgers fan. Baseball, that's just half inherited, half embraced. My back to my adage, your daddy's daddy. My dad grew up listening to the Dodgers on the radio with his dad, and
Yeah,
it transferred to me, and so that's the hat I wear when it's not a industry hat. So
you're living some good years then.
yeah, I mean, so I was there for the shite ones too, but
Yeah, yeah.
yes,
You
good
don't
time
you don't
when
get to see the good
tease the
ones.
fair weather fans.
Yeah, yeah. You don't get to see the good ones if you're not going through the
Like, well,
pains.
where were you 3 seasons ago?
Exactly. Yeah, I'm actually for my sins Man United fan over here, and I got to experience the absolute glory years, and we have had a decade of pain since then. Absolute embarrassment for a decade. So yeah, I feel you on that. You got to go through the bad years to see the good ones.
Yeah, but I mean, also I do fancy a MLS game here and there. I back the
Nice.
Galaxy out here
Yeah.
again. Fair weather. Everyone got excited when we got a new team out here, but I stayed true to the Galaxy.
Nice. Good for you, loyal supporter. I got a lot of time for that. Favorite city and why? This will be an interesting one because you're well travelled. I'm
Yeah,
interested on this one.
I like Big Sur. I don't
Big,
know. Big Sur, SUR.
big.
It's a beach city, again along the California coast, but it's the redwood forest goes right to the ocean, and it's just gorgeous. If you like beaches and hiking and just overall just scenery, it's beautiful.
That's your go-to. We
Yeah,
don't.
that's I just say that's a consistent. I mean, there's a million other places that I like and that I would love to go to, but that's just shooting from the hip. One of my favorites, I would say Big Sur.
Love it. Favorite hobby?
Favorite hobby. Well, I like being a dad. I don't know if that's a hobby or a job.
Yeah. No.
Um, I do like doing some woodworking. I like classic cars. Used to have some. Now I have some different ones.
Any particular brand?
Well, I grew up. My first car was a Ford Mustang '65,
Nice.
and so that's kind of what wet my palate for it and got me interested. I learned a lot on those cars. Just I could pop the hood and actually see the ground on both sides of the engine and figured out
Wow.
how to work on. I pop a hood now on a later model car. I have no idea what I'm looking at, and the engine's sideways. So
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I like some of the simplicity there. But just this year, I did. I brought in a '64 Chevy glass truck to the fleet.
Very
And
cool.
that's been a fun one to play with too, and it's very industry centric, and I
I
like
love.
parking it out in front of the building.
Very cool. Yeah. Yeah. Very very on point. So this one you can choose either or, but favorite book or movie
I can't pick both.
for you? Go on then. For you. For you. Just don't tell anyone
Well,
else.
I don't read as much as I should. I start thousands of books, but actually finishing them I get a little my attention span gets me jumping around a lot. I mean, there's classics that I think it. I mean, Hemingway. I always enjoyed reading Hemingway back in my younger years. I mean, when I thought it was cool, Bukowski and some of the Beatnik generation stuff. Um, if you get a cocktail in me, I'll pretend I'm smart and say that I understand James Joyce, but that's a total lie. But I like trying. Um, so I don't. But I also read a lot of business books. I mean, there's been a bunch that I've either sought out or have been recommended, and so
Yeah.
I'm a forever student of a lot of things, but I don't always finish the book. So I gotta. I'd say 80% of the books I have at home have I have not crossed the finish line on. But
Yeah. Yeah. You have the intention. I'm probably similar in a way. I'm probably 40% probably don't get finished on my end.
yeah, because then suddenly I'll read a good review or get a good recommendation, and suddenly
Yeah.
the grass is greener, and I'm excited to jump into that, and then suddenly I have this collection of books that are partially read.
Yeah. No, I know that feeling.
What about you? What's your favorite book or movie?
Do you know what? I'm not a big movie guy, but I do. It's probably a really boring one, but I could watch Moneyball over and over and over again, which probably tells you a lot about me. But yeah, it would probably be
Oh,
Moneyball.
it's been a while, but I recall tearing up a little bit with that movie. That was a that pulled some
Unbelievable.
heartstrings, and I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, the book stuff. I I'm not a fiction guy. Can't get into it. I've tried. Can't can't click with it. Can't stay with the story. Um,
Hmm.
so a lot of the stuff that I will read will be self improvement, health, business. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what would be.
I can mess around with a lot of history too. I'll maybe not. I'm trying to think of one that comes to mind as a full book I read, but I can similarly. I think nonfiction and history books are definitely things I can jump into.
The one that comes to mind that is not even any of what I said. It was actually a biography of Pep Guardiola, who's obviously the one of the best football soccer managers.
Sorry, could you repeat that again? I missed it.
Pep Guardiola.
Okay.
So obviously, Man City's manager now, Barcelona, um, Bayern, and Man City that he's managed, and just like his philosophy of football or soccer completely transformed the game. And obviously, he was a disciple of Johan Cruyff, who was Barcelona Barcelona legend. Again, changed the philosophy of football, and then that bled down into Pep then playing for Barcelona, and then him picking up all of these or this philosophy, and then he went into manage the Barcelona B team, and then went straight into the head coach at Barcelona, and they had this unbelievable season. I think they won every trophy that was available to them that season. It was 6 trophies. I don't know how many games they
Wow.
lost. It wasn't many. But his philosophy of the way that football was or soccer was being played, he just completely flipped it on its head, and it was total football to the point where Sir Alex Ferguson, my team, Man United, played them in the Champions League final, and we were an absolute monster of a team. Had these unbelievable players, powerful, quick, agile, and this team of like midgets, essentially. Like their average height must have been 5'8".
Oh boy.
Absolutely played us off the park, like to a point where they're putting their centre backs, their defenders, like by the goalkeeper and playing around at the back, drawing us out and then just going through the phases of the pitch so quickly, and it's phenomenal to watch. But just the story of how he grew up, got into obviously playing football, management, philosophy, and to what he's doing now, I thought was fascinating. That's probably one of the only books where I've just been glued and just really struggled to put it down. So I'd go with that, the biography of Pep Guardiola.
Sounds like there's a book I'll be buying that I won't finish.
There you go. At least you'll see the first 2 chapters. You'll see that he's Spanish.
Okay, I can commit to 2 chapters.
There you go. So, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Oh shoot. I mean, there's gobs just spanning business and mentality there. I mean, I mean, I can attribute to the person. Again, Mr. Freeze has shared a lot of things with me that I've kind of either knowingly embraced or kind of absorbed that have applied or try to apply.
Yeah.
I just coming back to transparency and honesty. Do what you say you're going to do and prove it. I mean, that's a very simple one. I also recall back to one that kind of jarred me a little bit, upset me for a tiny bit, and then I kind of like it now. It was an art instructor in college, and Reza was his name. I don't know his first name, but he was just Reza.
Okay.
And he pulled me aside one day, and he said, "You're a jackass." Sorry for the language, but this is a direct quote.
Yeah.
He said, "You're a jackass. You do just enough to look better than the people immediately around you instead of doing the best you can for yourself, being the best version of yourself. You're just doing enough to be one click of the people to your left and your right instead of being the best you could be." And I was like, first I was like, whoa. And then I was like, well, and so that one stuck. And that's been 20 something years.
Yeah. No, not that it's a direct comparison, but sometimes I've seen that in the workplace before of, I always used to use the phrase of, they're doing enough not to, be sacked or, fired essentially. It's just sort of keeping yourself to a standard that's kind of acceptable. Like,
yeah.
Just above it. Like, that's fine. Instead of actually
reaching your potential.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. It's a bit of that's a good thing to stick by. Again, whether you probably harder to actually do than the theory suggests, but yeah.
Anything that starts with "you're a jackass" is usually a backhanded compliment, I reckon. So I don't.
Yeah, probably a wake-up call as well, I imagine.
Certainly, definitely got committed to the bank. So
yeah, I like that. So if you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would it be and why?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, that's a really tough one, just because whatever I think of someone from history is probably a romanticized version of who they actually were.
Yeah.
We find out a lot of people we think we know are not as impressive or monsters.
Yeah.
I was always impressed with the story, or just kind of and maybe this doesn't track for you, but Ulysses Grant, General and President for the United States. What I've read and what I know or think I know, I like the tale of a unlikely person that rose to an occasion and necessarily didn't want the job, but just did it. And so I know there's also some bad sides to his coin of not being the greatest character, but I think sometimes the unexpected folks that rise to the occasion is kind of an interesting concept and fable or story that anyone can at least get behind or be interested in. So maybe it'd probably be a terrible conversation, but we could probably have a beer and maybe some curry and talk war tactics. I don't know. But.
Yeah, I was going to say, done. Yeah, I'm sold. Beer and a curry. Yeah.
Well, I think you get these concepts of this presidential character, and turns out he's probably just a rough and tumble, gruffly dude. I mean, that probably went to military academy, but was kind of launched into something and ended up winning. And I like those stories.
Yeah, I'd step up to the plate, thrown at the deep end. Yeah, no, I like that. So coming to the
Which
end
which coach are you going to have dinner with? I assume it's a coach or
here.
manager.
Yeah. See, I went in hard with the book on Pep, didn't I? But he
It could be the
manages
same answer.
our he's our direct rival essentially. So I'm thinking who would be, so as a Dodgers fan, what is it, the Padres? No, who's San Diego? Well, who'd you
Like
be?
the Padres or the Giants.
Padres or the Giants? So
Those are blood feuds.
it would be like a generational coach coaching the Padres or the Giants, essentially. So
But
but
it could be competitive analysis and get some intel.
there you go. Yeah, if I could actually affect Man United's play,
Find those weak
I would
spots.
definitely sit down with
Help
him.
them.
I think it would probably be Sir Alex Ferguson, and he's not a historical figure; he's still alive. But I'd love to sit down with him and pick his brain on. He was probably the opposite of Pep in the fact that he was lauded for his man management and the way that he wasn't necessarily a coach, but what you would call a manager of a club. So he knew the lady on reception who'd been there for decades, the dinner ladies, everyone at the club he would know their grandparents. He had people out in Manchester at the nightclubs, at the bars, any of the players going there, he would know. He wouldn't necessarily bring it up. He might leave it a few weeks, and if they'd got into some bad form, he'd then bring it up. But just an unbelievable man manager. And I
He
can't
knew the
say,
game and the players.
yeah, phenomenal. Opposite, probably not the opposite, but different approach to Pep. But yeah, that would be that for me, 100%. What's the number one thing on your bucket list?
Uh, Bucket list for the long game.
Oh yeah,
Uh, I've got 3 daughters that I want to see succeed, and that could be a broad answer.
yeah,
I want them to be, and it's very amorphous. I mean, I could say I want to see them walk down the aisle, but if they don't want to get married, I don't want to see them walk down the aisle. I don't think that's the be all and end all end
yeah,
game, but I mean that's just kind of a stereotype for any dad. I want to see my
yeah.
girls walk down the aisle, but if that's the path they choose, that'd be awesome. But I'd like to, my ultimate bucket list is to make sure I'm around long enough to see them off to be independent, and so that's kind of an easy cop out, but it's
No,
a small list for bucket list for me.
yeah, no, that's awesome. Family orientated as well. Two more. If you could travel anywhere right now, where would you go?
I'm gonna go to Dubai for some curry with my friend Tom.
There we go. And a bit. And a bit.
I don't know. I'd like to. I mean, that's definitely of interest for sure. One area I've never spent any time in is Ireland, and so I'd like to kind of maybe if I ever get to a point where I can take multiple days off in a row, I'd like to do a trifecta of England, Scotland, and Ireland in no particular order, and just stay
No,
clustered there and get all different angles and
yeah.
just see the scenery. So that'd probably be on the list, but that ain't happening anytime soon.
I was going to say, yeah, it sounds like you've got your hands full with initiatives, business, and three
Well,
dogs.
you travel a bit, so where would you go right now if you're getting on a plane tomorrow?
I would go to Japan, but that's my that's my when the kiddos are teenagers.
It's half
Go,
bucket list, half travel
there you
destination.
go. Yeah, exactly. Like it would be, yeah, it'd be Japan. I want to go there for 6 weeks, take the kiddos when they're teenagers, and just explore. Land in Tokyo, see
Just
that.
absorb everything.
Yeah, just see everything, see every side of it, see the stuff that isn't, broadcasted. See, the mountains, the wildlife, the food, the busy cities, like everything. I've been there once, just to Tokyo for 2 or 3 days, and just sheer scale of it, the little English that was anywhere at the time. So getting around was like, it was.
All right, I'm going to change my answer. I'm going with you.
There we go. We're going to Japan. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I glossed over what's on your bucket list. I skipped that one for you. This is if you want me to play, you got to play too.
I can play. I can play. So bucket list for me would be.
Well, you've also practiced this. If you do the same speed questions for each person you're interviewing, you've got a couple ready to rock.
Do you know what? I wish I did, but the bucket for the others, I don't. But the bucket list would be, and it's quite achievable actually, because it's just finding the time to do it.
World peace, beautiful.
There we go. Yeah. So if
we're all counting on you, Tom.
3 or 4 days just to get it done, that would be it. No, it would be to go and the whole week of the golf, the Masters, just to Monday to Sunday, go every single day. I don't think you're allowed phones on the property, which suits me down to the ground. Phone in the car, go every single day, and just one day go and walk the course, follow a couple of groups. The next day, perch myself on one of the greens or the tee boxes, and just all in 7 days. That would be my absolute bucket list. And if the kiddos were,
that's certainly attainable.
100% attainable. Again, it's one of those things that I'll get round to it. And I think the only thing that could elevate that for me would be going with my dad and or one or both of the kids if they're into that and they liked it. So it's attainable. Will I get there and go and do it? That's the next question. I'm sure I will one day. How far off that is, I don't know.
Well, clock's ticking, my friend.
I know. You get
don't miss an opportunity with your dad. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that's the close one to home for me. Last question. If I could give you a mulligan, so a redo on any decision you've ever made, what would you choose?
I wouldn't have sold that 65 Mustang.
There you go. See, there's no.
That was my grandpa's car and my first car, and I've regretted that a lot. To the point where I've tried to find it many times, but at the age I was, I couldn't afford to give it the rebuild it needed to be a reliable car, and I needed a commuter car. I had to get to school and to work, and I couldn't afford 2 cars. I didn't have a place to keep 2 cars, and I couldn't insure 2 cars, and so I had to make the big boy decision to get a crappy little used Honda Accord and had to sell my Mustang. And
well,
I would have figured out a way if I could do it again.
I was going to say, in a different perspective, that family car has given you the foundation to go where you've gone. You had to go to school. Yeah, they might.
Oh, the hell with your silver linings! I want that car back.
Cut that.
No. I think it's important. I probably bitched and cried at the time, but I knew I did. You can't take pride in making responsible decisions if you don't have the option. Like it was, it's easier when the decision's made for you, and you just gotta bite the bullet and do what is necessary. So I think everyone should have moments in their life where they can at least acknowledge it, and your most desired direction isn't the best one. It's something selfish versus what needs to happen. Is I think we all make those negotiations to some degree every day and in all aspects of life. So that's
100%.
But I can't take my victory lap saying, oh, it was great and I learned so much from it and it made me who I am, if I'm right now telling you that I want a mulligan and I want to go back and tell that dipshit not to do it.
What color was it?
Ice blue metallic with matching pony interior.
Ice blue. So if there's anyone listening that has seen an ice blue metallic 65 Mustang,
inline 6 200 license plate REA 740 you find it, there's a reward.
There we go. There we go. Off you go, listeners. Go and find us that Mustang. No, look, Andrew, this has been awesome. I was really looking forward to this. You've been very kind to give me an hour of your time, and thoroughly enjoyed the time we spent together. And someone will take a nugget from this, and hopefully it's encouraged people to get more involved with the initiatives that you guys are doing. Very generous. I know you guys have got a business to run as well, and your own business development to do and generate, but what you give back to the industry is incredible. So
I appreciate the opportunity, and I'm down to talk anytime. Usually it's not worth the other person's time to hear me, but the trick is getting me to stop talking. But no, this was great. It was nice getting to chat with you at length, in complete sentences and complete thoughts. So this was a nice reprieve for me today. So thank you.
Brilliant. No, it's a pleasure. Awesome. Thanks a lot, Andrew, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Take care.
Guys, that's it for this week's episode of the Facade Focus podcast, presented by me, Tom Caldicott, founder and CEO of Unity Search, where I help glass and metal businesses hire the best talent and build their brand on LinkedIn. Now, I've worked across Asia, the Middle East, Europe, and North America, and I'm on a mission to help connect each facade community to give you the tools to learn and grow. Now, I'm a big believer in sharing knowledge and provoking conversation, so I hope you take something valuable from each episode that gets you thinking about how you can be better tomorrow. Remember to like and subscribe the video on YouTube and give us a 5-star rating on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It really helps us reach more people to achieve our goal of connecting the global facade industry. Tune in again for next week's episode, and I'll see you all there.